Professor Melly Mail, the Hood Postman. You know that vibe. Be sure to click the notification bell, like, subscribe, and share. Drop a comment down below. So when that dope content hit, it'll feel like the 1st and the 15th, man. You know what it is. Shout out to the Mailroom Nation. We here with my special guest today. Who we here today with?
Kevin, Compton Hydraulics.
Man, it's good to see you, Kev. Man, it's your story. Tell it how you want to tell it. You know, tell it how you want to, bro.
Okay, on some low riding, right?
Let's get into it. Definitely, let's get into the low ride. So let me give you a question, and then you can take it from there.
I'm ready.
What year did you start low riding?
I started low riding. My first low rider I had was in 1970.
1970. So at what?
With hydraulics.
How old were you?
I was 16.
16. Okay, so, and what city did you live in at that time?
Compton.
Compton, okay.
Compton.
So let's back up a little bit. So where were you born?
I was born in Homer, Louisiana, Gibson, and Smith Ridge, where my pops was from, Gibson, where my mom was from, right there by New Orleans.
So what inspired the family to move here to Compton? Or tell us where you landed. When you left Louisiana, where did you land?
I landed in Laguna Beach.
Laguna Beach?
Yeah.
Laguna Beach?
Laguna Beach.
That's where, man, that's a lot of good things over there in Laguna Beach.
I was a surfer before I moved to Compton.
You was a surfer?
I used to be on the surfboard, junior lifeguard, all that.
Really?
Running with the hippies. Came to visit mom's one day, and I ended up, you know, living with her. And one day that's when I first met Salty, because my sister was his brother's girlfriend.
So wait a minute, let's stop you right there. So you left Laguna Beach and came to Compton, and your mother was living in Compton?
My mother was living in Compton.
Who was living in Laguna?
My father.
Okay, I just wanted to get clarification. Okay, go ahead, story.
And I ended up coming out to Compton, visiting my mother, ended up living with her, and what inspired me about the low riding, the first party I went to, me and Salty went to this party down the street, and I saw some low riders, some guys scraping their cars, and it was a shocker to me because I'd never seen one before. And so what ended up happening, I was like, I gotta have one of those one of these days. And the thing of it was, I ended up getting me a little Monza with some color bars and stuff in it.
What year was that?
Oh, that probably was like 68. About in 68. And it was this man named Mr. Hicks that lived around the corner from us, and he built cars. He was like a #1 street racer around in Compton. And what ended up happening was he used to pay us to come over there and work on the funny cars, cleaning the fiberglass, and his oldest son, Kenny, became old enough to get a lowrider. So when he got the lowrider, we started messing with his car, which was a 52 Chevy he'd done. And but it was guys like Black Joe, George Taylor, Reggie McZill.
George Taylor, that's the Game's daddy?
Yeah. And
Black Joe was where from? Over there, what we know is Nutty Block, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what all of them was really from over there.
Okay.
And I started out by watching them and being over Mr. Hicks' house. He was the man that did all the lowriders, him and his son. So he used to pay us to work on the cars, and that's what really got me into doing the lowriding. And when I was in the 8th grade, Kenny bought I think it was a 61 Bonneville, and we painted it a black with apple jewels and a silver flake on the hood, the top, and the trunk of it. And it just kept me inspired to mess with lowriders. But what I ended up doing when I got my first lowrider, by not having the money to spend to build a car in them days, every time I wanted to do something to it, I'd just go take me a class, which I started in Watts at Jordan. I went up there, I took a class, put a sunroof in my car, and started doing body work. And during that time, it wasn't all that hopping going on, so it was basically a lot of laying and playing and scraping going on. So I had to do that. So I ended up getting me a 4-door 64 C-framed it.
Explain C-frame.
When you cut the frame off so that the rear end would go up in there. That way the car would lay all the way on the ground. So the thing with me growing up, if you put a penny on the ground or a nickel, you should be able to drag that down the street. If it didn't lay on there or drag the penny, you wasn't a lowrider then. And really, that's what lowrider was, laying your cars, laying and playing. So
so they used to call that, what, a pancake like?
Yeah, with they had the pancake thing going on where the whole car go down, then they had the seesaw. So my thing was, I was on that, laying and playing and had my car bouncing a little bit. So one day they had a picnic, and we used to go to Brookside Park.
And that's in Pasadena.
In Pasadena. So there was this guy named Robert. He had a 63, and he had the hottest front end out there. That's when I really seen a car really hot. And
so Pasadena was where they used to have the annual, right? The first of the year.
Yeah.
Brookside. They had the booty slide at Brookside Park. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's called a booty slide. It was a part of Brookside Park. Everybody used to slide down. It was like a waterfall. But anyway, proceed.
Okay, so I runs into to Robert, and I'm first time meeting Rat. Rat had a 64. He used to hop the back. So the back.
And Rat is from where?
Supernaturals.
Okay.
And he had the hottest car back end. Robert had the hottest front end. But during that time, I had a hot pancake. And when you pancake is when all four of your tires come off the ground. So Rat backed his car up to the back of my car. Robert pulled his up to the front. So when I finished pancaking, I did a complete 360 with my car. Because if you hop your car and you pancake and the whole car spin around, that's hard to do. But during that time, when that happened, Rat backed up and tore the door off his car. So he had to go get another door right quick before we left the park. So that inspired me to want to do the hopping thing. But at that time, it was a buddy of mine named Moulton Shaw, and we hooked his car up for hopping with the Festro Jets when the Festro Jets first came out. So his car was super hot.
So again, explains professional jets.
The Festro Jets, they came off airplanes, and they was real skinny. And
so is this the hydraulic?
The cylinder.
Cylinder.
Yeah, it was the Festro Jets was the cylinders.
Okay.
And that was the way to really make your car hop. And during that time, we was only putting 4 batteries to the front. So if you have 4 batteries in the front of your car and you was doing 16 to 17 inches, that was a lot, because that was the beginning of the hopping era. So after that, I started hopping. I built me a 64. I used to hop. I had a bunch of trays I used to hop. But all the way up until today, ain't nobody called me out.
Wow.
Nobody.
Wow. So, Kev, quick question. How long did it take you to master the art of being able to hit the switch at the right time to get the car up and bring it back up? Because that's an art, right?
It is. And see, it was easier to learn how to hit the switch back then because you didn't have all them batteries and the cars wasn't super hot. Mm-hmm. And most of the cars had a lot of coil action in them where you could bounce. You could play with it and get used to it that way. And what ended up happening, when I was a youngster, we used to go up to churches. We used to hop against older guys.
That was on Vermont Century?
Vermont Century, yeah. And Moulton, like I said, he had the hottest car. Then I came with my foe. My foe was hot. But everybody knew me as hopping once I got started. So anybody wanted to challenge me or whatever, it wasn't a problem with me.
Did you ever run into Bob Murphy back then?
Oh yeah, I knew Bob Murphy, yeah, personal Bob Murphy, but them cats had show cars and laid and played.
Like Robert Kitchen, all those guys, they had the show cars.
And one of the first show cars I seen, it was a Mustang. It was red flake with the swivel seats and everything, and that car was at that party that I went to, had the hydraulics and everything. So I really was amazed when I saw that. But yeah, like Bob Murphy and all them cats, it's a lot of them cats, man. Back then, that really, Hoopty Don had the silver bomb that was front and back, and he the one that showed me how to put the bridges in the cars.
Okay. What about Big Ernest?
Big Ernest was, oh yeah, Ernest had it going, they had it going on too. But see, the thing of it back then, cats who had stuff like that going on, they wanted to be the man, and them type, you know, stuff like that. Because like during my era growing up, we all made sure that all our cars, how we did everything together, was not one competing against the other. We would just get together, ride, hop, and do what we do. But like Ernest, he was good people. But I don't know. I guess I must have been too hot on them switches, because they wasn't really. I don't think they was feeling me like that.
So Leaping Lizard never came for you.
Man, ain't nobody. Not
Charles Clayton.
Nobody.
Wow. Them are some of the names that were in that lowride, man. So if you had to pick a number, because I know you do a lot as far as building lowriders. I mean, you actually do the work. Because and help me with this, because I have a problem with, I see guys now that I call them mail order lowriders, but what I grew up with is the guys that went to the junkyards, the guys that went to the swap meets, the guys that went and found other guys that had parts, swap parts, and I mean, they use authentic parts. Now you got these guys that's getting refurbished. I mean, not fabricated, aftermarket and fabricated parts. You know, what's the difference between the two? I mean, maybe it's because the guy got enough money, he can just order everything he wants, or is it still the art of lowriding is still based in the guys that's going out and finding all these righteous treasure parts?
Well, see, it's kind of like a difference in that too, because you have a lot of guys who will say, I built this and I built that. You didn't build that. You paid somebody to have it built. You can say you designed it and told them what to do to your car. But
so the language is wrong.
The language is wrong. Like me, I do it. I paint. I do metal work.
That's why I was just going to ask you. Give us a list of the things you do.
Okay. I do body and fender, paint, sheet metal work, reinforced frames, install hydraulics, went to college for upholstery. So there's nothing that I can't do to a car. Period. I do it all. I got like, what, 14 magazines at my house with centerfolds and pictures of cars that I built.
You actually built the Santana, right? Which was my homeboy gangster car, right?
And designed it.
So what all went into that?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this how that went. I started by doing the hydraulics on the car. The car was painted white. Doc and G put the bandanas on the car, on the top of the car and on the side of the car. And they was standing back, they was praising the car. And I just looked at both of them, I'm like, oh, y'all could have just went and bought some decals and stuff on there. Like, y'all wasted a lot of time and energy doing that, right? But I'm just like messing with them, right? So Doc tells me, he's like, well, what do you mean this and that? I say, well, you got to put more on the car than that. And Doc told me he never did patterns on a white car before. So I explained to Doc, I said, the way you do light color cars, you got to do the patterns in pearls. And then I start showing him, you know, telling the different colors, and he went from there with it.
Wait a minute, Elbow. You mean the great late Doc?
Yeah.
You had to explain to him. You know what I mean? Because Doc is like one of the best.
Genius. He's a genius. He's a madman.
But he couldn't get past the light color car or the white car.
He couldn't get past it.
Because I seen Doc work, and I don't mean to cut you. We'll come back to your point. I seen Doc put that razor in the joint in one mouth, and he be making that noise.
Yeah.
You know, like he's painting and everything. You know what I mean? And I seen him put a piece of tape here, put a T, and do one side, and then go to the other side. He didn't measure nothing. And he come back and look at it and peel the tape off, and it'd be even. I was like, man, this dude is bad. But back to your point. So you saw the white car, you saw the basic patterns on it, but it wasn't enough. Is that what you were saying?
There was no patterns on there.
Okay.
It was only the bandana top and the bandana twisted on the side of the car.
Okay.
Then that's when we got into the pearls and how to, you know, the designs, make designs off the pearls, and he went with that. And I designed the hydraulics in there. put the chrome floors in there, because I was gonna build me a car. G, being the homie, came at me before I can really get to mine, so I just gave him all of the creations and the designs that I was putting in mine. We put in his car.
Wow, that's amazing.
But I don't get no credit for it like that.
That's amazing, man. That's
and I'm only gonna tell the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Man, well, I mean, you know, still you're a genius at what you do because you've been doing this long. But how many people have you taught to hit the switch?
I seen that video what Punchy did, right? With Tweet. And they was asking who's the top 10. Who's the 10, right? Now, 9 of the top 10, I did their cars. I'm the one who showed them how to hop their cars. I'm the one. A lot of people really copy my style the way I did it. I was the first one to put 10 batteries across the trunk with 4 up under the bottom for the weight, you know, for everything to the back.
To balance.
To balance. So I'm the type of person, when I was building my, just like when I came home in '88, and Leap and Lonnie was taking everything. Then we put a crew together. It was Lonnie, Lily, PP. It's an old cat from, I think he's from East Coast, Lil Daryl, and a guy named Lily. And it was like 5 or 6 of us. And during that time, you can hop the same car. If you had a double pump, you could take one pump out and hop it as a single pump. For a whole year, we took 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. Lowrider never gave us no credit for it. Matter of fact, we ended up getting in, me and him had a verbal argument over the phone about why.
So are you referring to Lowrider magazine?
Lowrider magazine.
Who's the owner of Lowrider magazine? Do you know?
I don't even want to remember his name.
So he couldn't bear with the fact, maybe you think skin color had played a part in it?
That played a part in everything.
Interesting.
Because basically, when I asked him about, you know, we've been hopping for a whole year, winning this money, winning these trophies, going from Arizona to up north. And Lonnie even went to Texas and took a 1st place. He told me if we didn't like it, don't come to his shows no more. So I basically told him, well, I'm finna come up north. I'll see you up there. Then what ended up happening was, when I got up there, he walked up to me with 2 police, wanted to talk about something, right? But I'm the type of person like this. If you come at me in a racist way, stay away from me, because I don't do that. You know, we might be different colors, but we all the same people. If we went to war, just like these racist white folks, black folks go to war to save their people's lives just as well as anybody else. So,
right.
You know, and I look at the whole picture and the whole thing of it because I came from the South. So that's the way I took it with him.
Okay.
And
so
I never had no love for him for what he did, the way he came at me about the lowrider.
Got you. What happened to remember the big Mexican guy used to have a trade? What was his name? Oscar. You remember Oscar? Fat Oscar.
Yeah, Fat Oscar. Yeah, I lifted his car. I did his car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe
63.
I remember. I think he rests in peace now. He was so big. Man.
Remember, he had the pink and white 57.
Yes.
The one with the post.
What about Lalo? Is he still around?
Lalo's still around.
Okay.
Yeah, I done been up to his shop because he had me up there one day. I went up there to mess around, do some work with him, right? So I was doing some button tuck with the diamonds that he was doing, and then he had a car that needed some body work done on it or something. I'm like, oh, I can fix that. So I went to do the body work. He didn't want me to do the upholstery no more. He wanted me to do body work.
Okay.
So I ended up doing some body work for him, but me and Lalo, well, we just like brothers. I mean, that's how close we was.
Man, cool. What about at what point, okay, let me go back to that other question, man, where you said 9 of the people that they were speaking about, you taught them how to hit the switch and build their cars.
Yeah. Basically, on the hopping thing, like the Damus, for instance. When I had my shop on Atlantic, Miguel brought Fields them to the shop. And he was introducing me to Fields them. He was like, yeah, kid, these cats from from the west
Down
side.
lowriders.
These are down riders, and they've been looking for somewhere to get their cars done because the Crips had all the shops sold up in L.A., so they was having issues about getting their cars done. So I told them, I said, man, we don't have a problem with that. You come here, I'll do your car like that, right? So when they came in the shop to check out the shop, it was Crips and Bloods in the shop. So they got comfortable with me. I started building their cars. I showed them how to make them hot.
Right. That's awesome, man.
How to hit the
You know what I
switch.
mean? So at what point did you meet Kenny Wayne Johnson, aka Turtle? Because Turtle was a bad man on that switch.
Man,
but
Turtle was, man, to me, Turtle was like my brother. Because I admired everything about him. And what really made me, because he used to come on Pan Air's when he had the tray with the black primer with the hubcaps. Because him and Don Juan was real close.
uh-huh.
And he used to come over there and, you know, kick it with us and everything. And during that era, it was like, you know, blacks wasn't having no money. It wasn't no get down, you know, no
Right.
none of this and this and this and that. But and I liked his get down because his get down was like mine as far as the streets and riding, you know, and doing things, which he was on a different page on other things. So one day I go over there, right? And he got the stuff in the house, in the back room, right? And I come over there, I said, T, I said, man, where you get all that from? What you know, because I know he wasn't having no money at that time,
Right.
But what he had on the table was big money.
Right.
And I said, where you get that from, man? He said, well, kid, man, it's like this, man. These niggas out here having all that money, man. I just holler at the niggas like, hey, man, you need to bring us something so we can eat, or we gonna come and take that. So Cass was giving them stuff.
That's Kenny Wayne Johnson, the
You know
general
what
he
I'm saying?
was. Yeah.
That's and like that. I'm
Yeah.
like, cool. So I didn't care where the Tanners went during that time. It wasn't really a part of my era because I was older. But whenever low riding was going on, I hook my low rider up. I go sell over by Turtle and wait till everybody hook up and ride.
Right.
And I used to jump in the caravan
Right.
and roll with them.
So another question: at what point did? Because I don't know, man. Sometimes I think that the people gave the Parker boys a lot of your credit when actually the credit belonged to you. The onus of it
I
belonged.
did their cars.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I did, but see, that's the thing I don't like about cats. They don't, and maybe it's just me. They don't give credit to the people that help them out or put them out there. They want to be the man, the this and the that. That's why they're so divided now. They don't stick together. Everybody got to be better than somebody else. Everybody got to tell a different story. But where did it come from? They don't never say that part. Who showed me how to do this? Who learned me how to wrap frames? Who taught me how to hit the switch? Who told me what to put in my car? Like when I heard them talking about, what's the name? VMAC?
VMAX.
Yeah. Now, I was giving shows at Compton College. I had went to a few different hops where he was at, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't winning nothing. So that last show at Compton College, he hopped his car, and the car wasn't doing nothing. So I went over there, him being black, I went over there like, hey man, what you got in the trunk? So when he opened the trunk, showed me what he had in the trunk, I'm like, oh no, you gotta change, you gotta put this and put this and put this and that in your car, right?
You gave him the formula.
I gave him the formula. He took the formula and added the extended A-arms and trailing arms, weight or whatever, and he took off from there.
Wow.
I gave a lot of them the formula. They'll never admit it.
Wow.
Just like when I got out and Marsha hit 50 inches, Orly, Chris and them did what's Anthony and them did, and Chris and them, they did his car. His car was doing 50 inches. His car did 50. Everybody else in the show's cars, Reds, high and low, any shop you can name back then, they wasn't doing but 34, 36 inches.
But those were circus cars, weren't they?
No.
Okay.
They was just regular,
Okay.
you know, double pumpers.
Okay.
And they were street cars.
Okay.
Now, I came home during that era, so I was going to the shows with Junior and them, just, you know, really checking out, because I always been in the low ride. But then, when I built my car, I went to 52 inches.
Wow.
But most of the time when I hopped it, I got like 47, 48. But like I said, everybody else was doing 30 something. And that's when we was taking all the hops.
So what's the difference between a double whammy and a single pump? Or is there a difference?
2 pumps going to the front. That's a double whammy. 1 pump going to the front. That's a single pump.
I just wanted you to explain it, because a lot of people might hear the terms and not understand exactly how to define it or what's happening in that sequence.
Yeah, that's the difference with a single pump or a double pump. But I stopped hopping because they came with all this fake stuff, all this weight, chains on the car.
So the lid in the trunk and all that.
All that trash. That ain't even low riding. I don't even know what to call it. I don't have a name for it.
Are they also putting it in the frame?
Yeah, they put the metal in the frame. I remember one time I went to
That's cheating.
it ain't low riding. When I gave the last show I gave at Compton College, it had 52 hoppers.
I remember those shows.
I only gave the money and the trophy to the cats that was low ride, because they was low ride. They built their cars. They come. They show them. That's being fair with everybody. Once they started with this funny stuff, I wasn't even gonna try to take my car out there and hot boil it, because I'm not gonna be a transformer. I'm gonna keep it low ride.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So define low riding. Somebody get in their car or build a car, drive their car, hop their car. And
Well, it's a street car. It's just like you.
okay.
You know, it ain't none of the funny stuff. The 20 batteries.
None of that circus stuff.
None of the circus stuff.
Cool. We're gonna leave it right there, man. We're big. You guys, you right here, man. Stay tuned, man. Kev, man, he got a great deal more. But this is Professor Melly Mill, the Hood Postman. You know the vibe. And we're out, Kev. We out?
If that's what it is, we out.